And thanks for staying with us here on the Joy News channel. This is The Pulse, but we're bringing you a breaking story that we have on this developing story about the former Minister for Sanitation, Cecilia Dapaah, as we are now confirming from our Joy News sources that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is now moving ahead to charge Cecilia Dapaah for not declaring her income. And we're getting details on that for you as presidential correspondent Elton Brobe is on that beat, joining us in studio now with the story that we're learning of. Elton is just coming in and coming fast because many of us initially were of the view that the OSP was simply going after her because of this scandal that we know of regarding how she's kept and stashed a lot of money at home. Now that is fast changing because the Office of the Special Prosecutor is now going ahead to do something more. Give us the details. Let's start off with this fresh charge that the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Right, so Blazer, this is just coming in from, we have court documents. In fact, I'm going to share with you two court documents, one from the Office of the Special Prosecutor and then another one from Madam Cecilia Dapaah, the former Water and Sanitation Minister. So these are related matters. Remember that we're all warming up to the court case tomorrow because Madam Cecilia Dapaah lawyers, they filed a process in court asking for abridgment of time. You know, the OSP went to court asking that the court allow it to continue to hold on to the seized cash and then for a confirmation. And we are aware that the original date for the movement of that motion would have been on the 18th of October. Now, this week on Monday, we heard from lawyers for Madam Cecilia Dapaah that they filed some process in court, hoping to move it tomorrow for abridgment of time, meaning that they want to bring the case forward. Now, there are two new developments on this matter. First is an application that has been filed in court, the High Court, by the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and this is the Republic versus Madam Cecilia Dapaah, and the charge sheet is count 1, statement of offense, failing to comply with a lawful demand on an authorized officer of the Office of the Special Prosecutor in the performance of his functions, contrary to Section 69(1) of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017. Now, let me read to you the facts of the case. According to the charge sheet that the OSP has filed in court, Madam Cecilia Dapaah, 68 years old, on August 2023 in Accra, in the Greater Accra region, and within the jurisdiction of this court, being a suspect under investigation for corruption and corruption-related offences, including using public office for profit in respect of suspected tainted large sum reportedly stolen from your residential premises, and this
which was the initial case that we all know
and
about.
Also retrieved from same by the Office of the Special Prosecutor without lawful excuse, failed within 30 days to comply with a notice to declare your property and income served on you by the Special Prosecutor on July 24th, 2023, under Regulation 21, and the regulation is provided here as follows. And so this is the case that has been filed in court.
Indeed.
By the
and we know that the Office of the Special Prosecutor says it is doing this based on further assessment of the earlier case.
Right.
The lawyers of Cecilia Dapaah, as we know it, were planning, obviously, as part of their ordinary procedure, to challenge the claims by the OSP tomorrow.
Yes.
That was for sure.
So this is a different matter.
Okay, yes.
And now this is another step taken by the OSP to charge here. Now, tomorrow's case would have been for the lawyers to ask for an abridgment of time to bring the hearing of the motion forward. But this is entirely different matter. Now, the OSP is taking a step further to charge her. Now, let me just give you the facts to be adduced.
Yes, we need that because that's critical. Initially, all the evidences were around how she sold some properties, how her dead brother's account was used, and of course the response from the lawyers that all of these is causing her untoward hardship. Her accounts had been frozen, but the OSP has further evidence and is adducing that in this fresh matter that's before court.
So according to the OSP, the accused was until 22nd July 2023, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. He's a suspect under investigation by the Office of the Special Prosecutor for corruption and corruption-related offences, including using public office for profit in respect of suspected tainted large sums reportedly stolen from a residential premises and also retrieved from same by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. The evidence, according to the OSP, will establish that on the 24th of July 2023, the Special Prosecutor, in the performance of his functions, served on the accused a notice to declare her property and income under Regulation 21, and the form is provided as an attachment. The accused, according to the OSP, was duly notified as per the statutory forms and by a cover letter under the seal of the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the seal mark of the Special Prosecutor that she was required by law to make the specified declaration and return same to the Office of the Special Prosecutor as per Form 12 of the first schedule of the legislative instrument within 30 days of service of her of notice. As at the close of business on the 5th of October 2023, the accused person, according to the OSP, had willfully failed without lawful excuse to return the duly completed statutory forms to the Office of the Special Prosecutor more than 30 days after the service of the notice and forms on her. The accused has been duly charged with the offense on the charge sheet.
Okay,
and again, let me run through
quickly.
The charge sheet. The charge sheet relates to her failure to declare her income and property within 30 days as specified by the OSP regulations.
Let's try and get our viewers to have a simple breakdown of what's happening now, because for many who have followed this case, it's always been about the cash. The OSP now has a different argument, which you've just read to us. In simple terms, what's the summary of the OSP's demands? So
again, the facts, according to OSP, that will be adduced in court. The claim is that the accused, the former Minister for Water and Sanitation, Madam Cecilia Dapaah, is under investigation by the office for corruption and corruption-related offences, including using public office for profit in respect of suspected tainted large sums of cash reportedly stolen from a residence and also retrieved same by the Office of the Special Prosecutor. Now, according to the office, the evidence will establish that on July 24, the Special Prosecutor, in the performance of his function, served on the accused a notice to declare her property and income under Regulation 21, of the legislative instruments. Now, the accused, according to the OSP, was duly notified as per the statutory forms and by a cover letter under the seal of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, and that she was required by law to make the specified declaration and return same to the Office of the Special Prosecutor as per Form 12 of the first schedule of LI 2374 within 30 days of the service on her of the notice. As at the close of business, according to the OSP, on October 5, 2023, the accused, the former Minister for Water and Sanitation, had willfully failed without lawful excuse to return the duly completed statutory forms to the Office of the Special Prosecutor more than 30 days after the service of the notice and the forms on her.
And Elton, this is why we believe this is so important, because if you draw the link, the OSP complied with the earlier court directive, but then moved ahead to subsequently freeze the accounts of Madam Cecilia Dapaah again, and asking her to declare her income, right, that would then provide a fair idea to the OSP to know what her source has been all this while.
What we've managed to acquire within the period that you served as a public officer.
Anyway, Elton, thanks for bringing us this. But yes, we need to talk about the second leg to this, which is very critical.
The former Minister for Water has now gone to the Human Rights Court,
which is on a separate development.
Which is also on a separate development, and then is seeking to stop the OSP from continuing with the investigation that is currently ongoing.
So lots of issues happening, and obviously all of these we need to break down. Let's bring in lawyer Martin Pebu, who's also joining us this afternoon on a raft of issues that are just developing. In fact, as we speak, the Office of the Attorney General has also issued another document indicating why it's unable to prosecute names mentioned in the Professor Frimpong Boateng case. We'll get to all of that shortly, but Elton, just stay with me. Let's bring in lawyer Pebu. Lawyer Martin Pebu, the OSP now taking a more decisive action on Cecilia Dapaah. Well, some say it's just furtherance of what we've seen in the last few days, the need for her to declare her source of income. She's failed to do that, and the OSP is taking her on. Is that in line with lawful practice?
Absolutely, Blessed. Absolutely, that's the law. Section 69 of the OSP Act Act 959, right? Says that if the OSP requires you to give information and you don't give it, then that constitutes an offense, right? So that is what the OSP has stood on in order to charge Madam Dapaah. So this one, simply put, is failure to provide information to the OSP. That's just a failure. So in time, we will see if there is evidence to charge her with the substantive offenses of corruption or corruption-related offenses.
Does
so
it not,
those ones are separate.
Yeah. Does it not seem as though the OSP is being overly fixated, if we could use that word, on Madam Cecilia Dapaah? Here's one case being dealt with on monies relating to issues relating to the money that was stashed in a home. And then you have the OSP going ahead to trigger this action as well. Should that be described as some sort of fixation on her for reasons we are not able to explain now?
No, blessed. I'm trying very hard to see if there's any reason for us to think there's a fixation and over fixation. But I'm not really seeing any. No, on the contrary, I don't think we've done enough in terms of fighting corruption. We've not done enough at all. Like we've been saying, look, Madame Dapaah is not alone. We want to search the rest of the ministers. You think Madame Dapaah is alone? This money that we've seen in her home is just a tip of the iceberg. It's long been out there that, look, our ministers have lots of our Ghanaian taxpayers' money in their homes. It's long been there since last year. But professionals like us didn't want to, amplify those comments because you would be said that where is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Corruption is very difficult to fight. You won't find evidence lying around and about that you pick up and use against the, those involved. So sometimes it takes some proactive measures. So look, Madame Dapaah's case is just a tip of the iceberg. So every day that there's a new development in this case, it's also an opportunity for us to remind Mr. Kissie Ejabin that he should search the rest of the ministers. He should search them. He will find more money. The same thing for the presidency. They are the people holding all the money. Why do you think we are suffering? It's because the money is in their pockets and in their homes. So I don't see the over-fixation or fixation simplicity. No, it's just the due process that Mr. Ejabin is going into. And what do you call it? Let me pick the law. So I was expecting that Madame Dapaah's lawyers would advise her, because it's been stated here that offense is section 69. Let's read parts of it to, enrich the discussion. It says, offenses relating to search, seizure, and obstruction of authorized officer. So section 69(1). A person who fails to comply with a lawful demand of an authorized officer in the performance of functions under this act. Then B, fails to produce property declared to be seized under this act. Then C, conceals or attempt to conceal property liable to seizure under this act. Or D, furnishes information to an authorized officer which the person knows to be false, commits an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of not less than 500 penalty units and not more than 1,000 penalty units, or to a term of imprisonment of not less than 2 years and not more than 4 years, or both. So these are offenses that have been created in order to make suspects and accused persons cooperate with OSP. And Madame Dapaah has not. This one is black and white.
I see. Even as we speak, the lawyers of Madam Cecilia Dapaah are also making another attempt to stop the exercise of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. That's also another developing issue attached to this decision by the OSP to charge Cecilia Dapaah. Elton, break that down for us, then I can get the thoughts of lawyer Martin Pebu on that.
So the latest also picking is that Madam Cecilia Dapaah has also filed, through her lawyers, has filed, an application at the Human Rights Court, and he is seeking a declaration that the respondent, that's the Office of the Special Prosecutor, reseizure of the money initially seized from the applicant's home on 24th of July and refreezing of applicants' bank accounts respectively on the 5th of September is unfair, unreasonable, capricious, arbitrary, and ultra-virus. The respondent statutory powers under Act 595 relative to the constitutional provisions of Article 23 and 296 of the Constitution. Now also seeking an order for the respondent to release the money seized on the 5th of September to the applicant and to unfreeze her bank account. Also, an order prohibiting the respondent, that's the Office of Special Prosecutor, from continuing the investigation of the applicant for corruption or corruption-related offences. Any such further or other orders as the Honourable High Court may deem it fit. Now, the applicant prays the court for the relief deposed, and these are the matters that I have just enumerated.
So basically, the lawyers are asking that, first of all, the decision that the OSP took to refreeze, this account, because initially it was frozen, they went to court, the order was given, and now they are asking that order be enforced because the OSP carried out another freezing exercise again on these accounts. And then they want the monies also released to her.
Yes, of course. I mean, the claim is that the OSP is relying on information arising from an unlawful arrest and search, and also on grounds already found by the High Court to be unsatisfactory, that the OSP has exercised its powers of seizure without a warrant, as the circumstances prevailing before the court ruling on the 31st of July 2023 remains the same, and respondent has failed to adduce any proof of intention on the part of the applicant to conceal, destroy, or dissipate the alleged tainted property. That the reseizure, like I said earlier, the court should make binding orders which commence the reseizure of and then the refreezing in flagrant breach of enabling act and the High Court ruling also in July. And finally, the Cecilia Dapaah lawyer is saying that the OSP actions are arbitrary, unreasonable, unlawful, and in flagrant breach of Act 5959.
Right.
So these are the orders she's seeking in courts, and this is just coming in.
I see. Elton Borba is our presidential correspondent, bringing us the latest on this. For those of you who have not heard it here on the Joy News channel, we're just breaking the story to you that the Office of the Special Prosecutor is going ahead to charge Cecilia Dapaah for failing to, disclose, to declare her income and also property as well. Then we know that the latest is that the lawyers also of Cecilia Dapaah are taking another action, also in court, asking the court, first of all, to unfreeze the accounts or to defreeze the accounts of Cecilia Dapaah, and also to ensure that all the monies that were seized are released to her. This is the latest attempt from the lawyers of Madam Cecilia Dapaah. And then they are also going ahead to ask the court to halt the exercise, a probe which is ongoing by, the Office of the Special Prosecutor.
Absolutely. So we are all waiting to see what happens tomorrow, because both the OSP and
the lawyers
will be in court
to decide.
To move a motion as to whether the order should be brought forward.
Right. Grateful, Elton. Lawyer Martin People, you're still with us. The action being taken by the lawyers of Cecilia Dapaah to, first of all, try and squash that order, the order from the OSP declaring that it will refreeze the account of Cecilia Dapaah. Was that something that many of you are expecting?
Expected, but we are a country of laws. Okay, so we have the rule of law, and it's within Madam Dapaah's rights to challenge every step of the process reasonably. So it's okay. We should grant her a day in court. It's all right. You'll find that such powers have been exercised in the past in this manner. I've said it on other platforms. People will tell you, and I'm sure you'll find thousands of our citizens who can attest to situations where, like this one, they go to court, then the court says you are discharged. I'm talking about a criminal case. The court says only so and so person is discharged, maybe for various reasons. The prosecutor didn't come, or the prosecutor is supposed to file some documents he didn't file. Now, when the accused person steps out, just outside the court, the police should rearrest him and take him back into custody and start the court process all over again. And it's been ruled by the courts that it is not illegal. So that's a practice that has been known to us for decades. So that's the same thing Mr. Yabin has done. So I'm sure with time, you even find maybe ordinary citizens posting on your platform that yes, he's experienced some. It happens all the time in court, all the time. For one reason or another, a criminal case can't go on. Then the judge will make an order. I hereby discharge the accused persons. Discharge means you go, but you've not been acquitted. So all I'm trying to say is that the case that went before Justice Chum, that the Justice Chum ordered the currency to be returned to Madam Dapaah and the accounts unfrozen or defrozen, didn't go into the merits, okay? If the judge was saying that
we seem to be having some challenges with the connection there. Lawyer Martin People, if you're still with us, we lost you briefly on that point. Are you able to take that for us again? But for those of you who are joining us on the channel, the one you watch right and see right behind me is the one in hot waters as we speak. Cecilia Dapaah, of course, being charged again by the Office of the Special Prosecutor in this breaking story that we're bringing to you on grounds that she's failed to declare her income and also property, as the Office of the Special Prosecutor is pointing out. Cecilia Dapaah's law is also, on the other hand, going to court and asking the court, first of all, to defreeze the account, release stolen cash to her, and also restrain the Office of the Special Prosecutor from going ahead with any further prosecution. This is a developing matter, and we'll be bringing you some updates on that. But this afternoon as well, the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, is also revealing some shocking details to us that he's unable to recommend the prosecution of any person cited in the report on the alleged involvement of some government officials on the illegal mining activities, authored by Professor Frimpong Boateng, the former chairperson of the Inter-Ministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. Now, Professor Frimpong Boateng in recent times has been on a warpath with close relations to the president, including Gabi Asare-Tridako and other government officials, for claiming in an official report that they were the ones actively involved in illegal mining activities. Well, we'll be hearing from Professor Frimpong Boateng shortly, but let's get to the details of the Attorney General's legal advice, which we're just bringing to you now. The fact that he points out that in court, the absence of any evidence on the dockets to support any of the allegations of illegal mining activities, we're unable to recommend the prosecution of any of the persons cited in the report. Then he goes ahead to say that they should therefore be discharged. We, however, await the outcome of the investigations concluded or actually conducted in the case involving Seth Mante, John Oforiatta, and also Eko Ewusi, as is being advised now by the Office of the Attorney General, which is the latest that we have on the Professor Frimpong Boateng report for you. But Professor Frimpong Boateng himself has commented on this matter earlier, pointing out that he believes and stands by whatever claims he makes in that report. Listen.
I have to be honest, because, you know, if you are doing something that important and some people who are influential and supposed to help are doing otherwise, you have to say the truth. I mean, I could have written a lame report, oh, Mr. President, everything is working fine and so on. But things are worse now, even now, and getting worse by the day. So I have to be very honest with the president and stay, look, I have written my report. If the Attorney General or anybody wants to classify it as being hearsay or this, it's up to them. You know, I'm not saying that the report was not, so what is factual? I mean, you can even take the Constitution. What is factual in Ghana? Look at where we are now. What is factual? So I write a report, and what I think is an honest report. to you. It's up to you. You see, information is what the importance of information is what you do with it when you get information. So if I've given a report and you say it's not factual, it's been data, and you want to ignore it, fine.
Well, so that's his message. I've given, my information out. You either deal with the matter or leave the case. Lawyer Martin People is still with us. And counsel, this is the opinion or perhaps the advice from the Attorney General, Godfred Yeboah-Dame, on Professor Frimpong Boateng's report. Does that end the matter for you?
Not at all. This doesn't. I think this is just the beginning, okay, of other major developments to come. Why do I say so? Number one, at least let's start with what the Attorney General's opinion concedes, or the positive progress we'll make from it. That
Lawyer Martin People, if you can hear me, one more time, we lost you on that point there. You were just about pointing out why you believe that should not be the end of the case. But one more time, for those of you who missed it, the Attorney General, putting out his concerns and also what he deems to be that legal advice to the Ghana Police Service, as we're bringing to you right now, that in the absence of any evidence on the docket, which got to do with some 7 or 8 individuals that were mentioned in that report by Professor Frimpong Boateng, what will happen is that all of the allegations do not have any evidence and that he's unable to recommend the prosecution of any of the persons cited in the report. Lawyer People, we lost you briefly. Can you take that point for us again?
There's one case that will go forward against 3 people. That's a case against Seth Mante, John Oforiatta, that's the National Security Coordinator in the Central Region, and Eko Ewuzi, former Vice Chairperson of the NPP in the Central Region. So the report says the criminal case against them the investigation should continue, right? That is a case involving the excavators, in which Seth Mante says that he used to collect money between 50,000 and 55,000 per excavator, so that those who pay that money as bribes will have their excavators released. That money was paid to John Oforiatta, who is believed, that's the National Security Coordinator in the Central Region, who is believed to also always pay it over to Eko Ewuzi. So that side, that case, investigations will continue. And so for me, I'm happy about that. Good. Now, apart from that one, now let's come to the contentious part. Efo Kofi, I hope you don't mind me calling you Efo Kofi, right? Now, what I'm interested in is this. The distraction to the forest. I can't agree with the Attorney General that there's no evidence. So, the forest was destroyed, Cobro Forest and the other one. So the distraction that CJ Alaska is said to have done, did it happen or not? I don't see the opinion talking about that. What I expect in respect of the distraction to the forest was that they would say they've gone to the field there, they've checked the forest out, and so they find a distraction. And if you find a distraction, the next thing is to find out who was there at certain periods that Frimpong Boateng mentioned. If we find that it was CJ Alaska that went there and didn't have the permits, you take on CJ Alaska, and that's Donald Isua and his people. So I don't find the opinion satisfactory in respect of the destruction of the forest, those ones. That one, we need more work on it.
Yeah, but he points out in the report that all the individuals involved in this case have been questioned, except for the professor himself.
Excellent. So, Efo Kofi, what you do is that you question the individuals. They say no, they didn't commit any offense, but you go to the forest. Go to the forest. The report doesn't mention that they went to the forest. Look, I reported a case against Wontumi, but not me alone, me, engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, Kwame Sapon-Esiedu, and then there's Senanu, right? Adam Senanu. The police went to the forest. They've seen the distraction. We are still pressing the CID to press charges against the, what do you call it, Chairman Wuntumi, right? Yes, but in this particular report, you don't hear them saying they went to the forest. They've taken pictures. If they went there, they should bring the pictures, display the pictures, just like you are doing now, Efo Kofi. Display the pictures. And if we find that some vegetation is now growing, we'll get experts who can tell us that this vegetation is just maybe 2 or 3 months old, or even 1 year. And so there's it shows that compared to the surrounding areas, this place was devegetated maybe 2-3 years or whatever years ago. So this is forensic. This is forensic. We can't sit on that evidence. We need AG to send the investigators to the forest. I didn't find any statement that the investigators went there and took pictures and they did any forensic analysis. So short of that, the AG's report, the AG's opinion is not up to scratch when it comes to that specific area of any investigations being done on the forest.
What sort of evidence are you expecting that, for instance, if the Attorney General indeed had decided to prosecute this case, he would rely on? Because the professor is not speaking, he wouldn't provide, further evidence to some of the claims he makes in the report.
Oh, the evidence is what I'm saying, that one, they should go to the forest, take pictures, and if they find that even the forest is now is being reclaimed, I say those parts have been reclaimed, you bring experts, they can analyze and tell you that maybe as recent as 2 years ago, this place was mined.
Yes, but how do we connect? How do we connect that to the individuals? How do we connect that to the individuals? Because he's spoken about some individuals. He's mentioned their names as well.
Perfect. Now, the from Boatin report said Gabi Ochridako called him to say that, he's acting for CNJ Alaska, and that they had permits, blah, blah, blah. So that's a connection. So Gabi himself confirmed to Frimpong Boatin that his clients were in the forest legally. So please, we need the pictures and everything, investigations on that forest. When we get that, even though Frimpong Boatin is no longer speaking, under the law and even in the report, he confirms that he uttered it. So that evidence can be taken. Frimpong Boatin will be subpoenaed, or if you say subpoenaed, even if he doesn't want to go voluntarily. And the way we've shown him so much public support, I don't think he would lightly say he will not come to court to testify. He should just come and testify about what is written so far in the report. So let's know the difference. In the AG's opinion, Frimpong Boatin says he's saying no more, but he stands by what he has already uttered. Yes, so he should go to court and answer this and give evidence in respect of the report up to what he voluntarily wants to give. That will be worth something. Then the court will build on that. But I'm telling you, Efo Kofi, the key evidence is that Gabi doesn't run away from the fact that he called Frimpong Boatin and justified the presence of C&J Alaska in the forest. And here is the case from Frimpong Boatin is saying they didn't have permits. Good. Did you see in the report any question of whether there were permits, C&J Alaska going to the forest, and whether they had permits? None. So I'm telling you that this report is incomplete, totally incomplete.
Some say, but some say that there's a legal significance to the document that the Attorney General is putting out now. The fact that all other, Attorney Generals might have to work with this document, rely on the opinion in it, and also government for now will be some way, somehow tilted towards the opinion of the Attorney General, since that's the legal advisor to government. And so nothing more may come out from these investigations.
No. I disagree. Legal opinions are revised all the time. You write an opinion based on certain facts that you have. If subsequently it turns out that your facts were inadequate and so your opinion is incomplete, you go and revise it. Just like you see the OSP is going back to court. The first time they went, They didn't carry enough material. The court said, no, 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 no. The court threw them out. You see, they've gone this time with more materials. So in court, we have a rule that anytime you find new material, you can come back to the court. That's in the trial court, not on appeal. If you go to appeal, that one is a very stringent test. But I'm talking about the trial courts. If you find new material, there's a low threshold where you go back to the judge and show the new material, then the judge can grant what you are looking for. In the same manner, you write an opinion. The opinion is incomplete because it didn't have certain facts. You just, when you get the new facts, you revise it. So, Efo Kofi, do you agree with me that reading the report, you didn't see any evidence that they said they went to the forest, inspected the forest, and didn't find any mining? Do you agree?
That's a fact. That's a matter of fact.
Excellent.
Yes.
So that is the point. That is the point. That is where we must stress. They must go back. Then number two, you don't find that they said they checked with Minerals Commission and they found out that there were the requisite permits or not. Two facts, very serious. So please,
but how about but counsel? How about the fact that the professor himself, who's made these claims, is not willing? He's not willing to just cooperate with the police service, for instance, and to provide further evidence on this matter. What could the good old professor be hiding if he strongly believes in the document that he's putting out?
Look, Efo Kofi, let me tell you, if we had just about, 10 of the likes of Professor from Boating, would have made a lot of progress. To be honest with you, well, it's not satisfactory. It's sad that he's not willing to move forward. But to be honest with you, I'm grateful for what he's done so far. I'm extremely grateful. If we would have public officers coming this far, all public officers who are sitting on rot, who are covering up for government appointees, political appointees, if only they
and there we have another challenge again, connecting with lawyer Martin Pebu, but his point well made there. That's a private legal practitioner, lawyer Martin Pebu, joining us here on The Pulse, and we'll definitely bring you updates on this matter and also keep you updated on what the Attorney General may do on this case going forward. Let's focus now on the financial sector, because aggrieved customers of Gold Coast Fund Management are mounting pressure on the Ministry of Finance to begin the disbursement of their locked-up investments following the collapse of the Black Shield Fund Management in 2017. The group has picketed the Ministry of Finance today, accusing the Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, of failing to authorize the disbursement of some monies for customers who have their investments impacted as a result of the financial sector cleanup. Charles Jami is the convener for the group.
We are the aggrieved customers of Gold Coast Fund Management. Customers who did investment with Gold Coast Fund Management, owned by Dr. Apako Sindum. The company collapsed as a result of the government policy, financial cleanup exercise. After the collapse of the company, the government made us submit our claims of investment through the various banks of Consolidated Bank across the nation. After that, the Securities and Exchange Commission came out with a budget of 8 billion Ghana cedis to pay 47 fund management companies whose customers fell to the financial cleanup exercise. After this budget was made, the Finance Ministry and the government allocated these monies in the mid-year 2020 and 2020 main budget. And in fact, they top it up to 8.6 billion. It means that in excess of 600 million. After this 600 million was budgeted for and approved by the parliament, the first tranche was done in 2020 mid-year budget. That was 3.1 billion. The government used it for something that is called partial bailout, which saw investments who gave each investment 50,000 Ghana cedis. Now, the remaining 5.5 billion was approved in 2021 main budget. when that approval was done, there has not been disbursement, but all documents available from the finance ministry and the government in the Parliament House and the public domain indicates that the government has spent 26 billion in paying out customers who fell victims to the financial cleanup. And when you try to digest the component of these 26 billion that the government claims it has spent, our approved 8.6 billion that's supposed to pay fund management customers in full has been calculated as part of the 26 billion that has been spent. Meanwhile, this money did not reach us. That is why we are here today to demand our immediate payment from the finance ministry, since they claim that those monies have been spent. They have to give us the money right here, because they have created bank accounts for all these customers standing here across the various branches of the commercial banks, and therefore we expect them to advance money to the commercial banks for them to credit our accounts within these 48 hours that we are going to tarry here. Then we live here, because we don't expect the government and the finance ministry to be so insensitive as to the point as we have exposed them for their greediness of spending our monies without reaching us. Look at the ages of these people standing right here. They are above 60, 70, 80. And if the government will be so sensitive enough to watch on for these people to tarry within the weather, scorched by the sun, and stand in the dew for the 48 hours, it would deepen their insensitiveness to the whole world.
Aggrieved customers also shared their frustration and hardship they are going through as a result of this locked-up investment.
After that, the Securities and Exchange Commission came out with a budget of 8 billion Ghana cedis to pay 47 fund management companies whose customers fell to the financial cleanup exercise. After this budget was made, the finance ministry and the government allocated these monies in the mid-year 2020 and 2020 main budget, and in fact they top it up to 8.6 billion. It means that in excess of 600 million. After this 600 million was budgeted for and approved by the parliament, the first tranche was done in 2020 mid-year budget. That was 3.1 billion. The government used it for something that is called
Please, we are appealing to government to pay us, because our members are dying. Me, for instance, I have to go through hardship. It's not easy. Very difficult. Very, very difficult, because I have to force my pension at 55, which I don't supposed to do that. I plan to enjoy life after working at the mines. So please, we are appealing to government to see to the finance minister release the remaining, the 5.7 billion that he's still with finance minister. He should release it for us, please.
I retired 23 years ago, having worked over 30 years. I expected to enjoy my retirement. So all the money I had, I invested. Let them release our money. That's all, so that it isn't the government's money. It is my money that I have worked and earned. So at least for them, the government, to see that some of us, those who were civil servants, how much were we being paid? So all that we had to invest to be able to earn something. The interest, at least we could enjoy. Interest, though, main principal.
We have to go outside, beg. Sometimes maybe our friends, we call them that we don't have money, give us something little, even school fees, but we can't even pay. Now one exercise book is 10 cedi, first is 2 cedi. Why? One notebook is 50 cedi. Why? Just a notebook for a child who is in class 5. Why? 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 Even the school fees, but we should release the money. It should release the money.
Also concerns there by the aggrieved customers of defunct Gold Coast Fund Management. We understand that a meeting subsequently was held amongst leadership and reps from the Finance Ministry. What's the update on that? Joining us now is Charles Nyame, convener of the group. He's joining us after that engagement. Charles, the hope is that after this engagement, at least the Finance Ministry will now be giving you some sense and hope as to when you'll get your funds released. Did you get that after the meeting today?
In fact, there hasn't been any meeting between the customer leadership and the finance ministry. When we went there, we were engaged by a man who describes himself to be one of the directors at the Finance Ministry, requesting to have a meeting with us. Initially, we declined with the reason that we believe he has no capacity to take any informed decision to resolve our situation.
Is it that you don't respect him? This is someone working on behalf of the finance ministry.
We have reason to that. Because we have been at the Finance Ministry back in the year 2020 with a protest where we handed over a petition received by a Deputy Finance Minister with assurances to work on our requests. We never heard anything after that scene. So we believe that even at the level of Deputy Finance Minister receiving our petition with assurances that could not do anything about it, how much more a director whom we do not know his designation.
You don't know if the finance minister is the one sending him.
Wait. Yes. So, upon second thought, we realized that if we refuse to meet them, they may come into the media to try and do propaganda that, oh, we wanted to engage them, the ministry wanted to engage them, but they were not forthcoming. So we decided to meet with them. They ushered us into a reception where business was ongoing there. When they ushered us into that reception, we sat there for over 40 minutes. But within that period, we had people coming in and out that reception who were over 100, and sometimes they may be in tens. And so we were wondering that, is this the place that we are going to hold the meeting? We asked them, we asked the one person, yes. But we sat there for over 40 minutes. No one attended to us.
Not even the director?
No one attended to us. Meanwhile, the meeting was called at their instance. We didn't call for the meeting. So before you call us for a meeting, we came there with genuine concern. You should be ready to engage us. So we realized that the one calling the meeting has no capacity to address any issue. That is why the person is roaming up and down without being able to tell us anything. So after the 45 minutes, we decided to walk out. So we walked out of the place. And nothing went on. We were called in, but no one attended to us for the past 40 minutes that we spent at that.
Okay, for the benefit of those who may have lost track of, your concerns, how did it all start, especially for, those who are customers of this defunct Gold Coast firm?
Thank you very much. You see, Gold Coast Fund Management was a company who was in existence for 25 years. Before the financial cleanup exercise, a policy by the Nana Akufo-Addo government, which sought to address malfeasance within our financial sector. We have no problem the government collapsing the business or whatever, because it preluded with assurances that it is being done to protect our deposits and our investments. So the company was collapsed. Customers were asked by the government to submit our claims of investment to various consolidated banks across the nation. We did that. After the validation, the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is the regulator, came out with a budget of 8 billion that could pay all 47 fund management customers, 47 fund management companies' customers who fell to the financial cleanup exercise, which Gold Coast Fund Management is one of them. But Gold Coast Fund Management, when you look at the total number of these 47 fund management customers, companies' customers, Gold Coast stands about 90% of the total number, and the investment portfolio to withstand over 90% of the investment portfolio.
Really?
Yes.
So you're more than any other group that we've heard.
If you put all of them together, they stand.
What's the number looking like?
The Gold Coast Fund Management, initially after the validation and everything, our number was put in the range of 140,000.
140,000
customers over. And as I speak to you, there are Gold Coast Fund Management customers who couldn't get the opportunity to be validated. So there are extra number which could not go through the validation. If we add that to that, it will be more than that, 140,000. So when the budget, budget was made, that is 8 billion by the Securities and Exchange Commission, that
dedicated to tackling some
that can pay all of us. The government and the Finance Ministry made allocation of this budget into the mid-year 2020 budget and 2021 main budget in two tranches. In mid-year 2020 budget, they budgeted for 3.1 billion, and the Parliament approved it. When the Parliament approved it, that was in July 2020. In the November 2020 the approved 3.1 billion was used to do something called partial bailout. Partial bailout in the sense that part of the money has been approved and we are going to pay it to the customers, which they capped the amount to 50,000. It means that those who have investment
beyond
not beyond 50,000, all of them were paid off. But those who investment was beyond 50,000 got only 50,000.
Okay.
And waiting for the remaining to be approved by Parliament House for their full payment.
Have you done, have you reconciled the figures? At least it might bring down the number from 140,000 as we are looking at to a much more smaller number.
Yes, it has brought
the number down.
Right now we are left with, according to the figures of
the data
we are left with 61,000.
Okay.
As Gold Coast
out of the 140,000 that we're dealing with.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. So these 61,000 people have investment beyond
50,000 citizens.
Good. And even among the 61,000, there are some who couldn't even got the partial bailout.
Okay.
They have their issues. So in the year 2020 main budget, the amount of 5.5 billion was sent to the Parliament House to be approved for our full payment.
Right.
And they approved it. So it means that when you put the 3.1 billion together with 5.5 billion, the money was approved in excess of 600 million because it was 8.6 billion in totality.
Right.
When this approval was made, we have never seen any disbursement from the 2021 coming. But when you look at documents from the Finance Ministry, at the Parliament, and even at the public domain, the Finance Ministry and the government is claiming that they have used 26 billion to clean up the financial sector. This 26 billion,
yes.
When you look at the components that comes together to form the 23 billion, our 8.6 parliamentary approved bailout
is contained in this document.
It's contained.
Have you made attempts to ask the Finance Ministry for clarity on this? Because probably they were referring to another set of compensations that were done.
Please, when you look at the 2021 year budget, paragraph 86,
yes.
87, and 88, it is spelled there categorically that this 5.5 billion is being sought to pay us in full. Gold Coast Fund Management name is mentioned categorically. First Bank name was mentioned categorically, and other fund management name, that these monies will complete the cleanup
and truly you say it would have sorted out your concerns.
Yes. But the money have not reached us, but they are claiming that they have spent that money as inclusive. So concerns that we are raising is that, okay, these are taxpayers' money being given to a finance ministry to disburse to customers who have had their funds locked up.
Right.
How can you spend the money without reaching the customers?
Well, we cannot conclude, and that's where I want us to play safe. We cannot conclude right now that probably they've expended the money. Maybe the money is sitting down somewhere. It might be giving.
Why should it be sitting somewhere whilst we have 800 of our customers dead and gone?
Right.
Because they couldn't have access to their monies to take care of their medical bills. Why should it be so? What is the money waiting for? What was the money approved for? Why did they raise the money? They raised the money to pay us. So what are they waiting for? So we are raising genuine concern, and we want every Ghanaian to be concerned. These are taxpayers' money. Taxpayers' money. And a finance ministry cannot expend it without accounting for it.
I'm, in fact, touched by the story of the old lady we saw in the picture. That it does suggest that many of your members are reeling under, the effect of this.
Yes.
How bad is the situation?
Very bad. Very bad. You see, our group is in such a way that over 80% of our members are above 80 years, or let me say 70 years.
Right.
They are old people, who did this investment after their
knowing
retirement,
that they may get something.
So that they were depending on the monthly proceeds that came out of this this investment. For 5 years now, most of them, they were funding their medical bills and whatever with this. Since it is not coming, most of them cannot pay for their medical bills and they have to die. We have businessmen and women who have their company collapse. We have a businessman who have in the tune of $10 million in this.
$10 million.
I'm telling you.
$10 million.
I'm telling you.
Not Ghana cedis.
No, dollars. And we have people who have an amount of, let me say, $1 million. even 1 million Ghana cedis, 2 million Ghana, they are all businessmen and now they are crippled. So how can you run economy by crippling your businessmen and women?
Interesting. Well, what's the next line of action? At least today you are the finance ministry. You say that there was no favorable outcome. Are you going back there? What's next for your group?
Oh, this protest is 48 hours continuous. We are sleeping there for the next 48 hours. With that old ladies that you, the old...
So your people are still there?
They are there. And from here, I'm going back there. We are going to sleep there. And you see, they are so insensitive to the point that they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. And if we have a nation who could sit down and make sure that and mismanage an amount of, let me say, over 60 billion to go waste, and will not be concerned about a situation that you could use an amount of, let's say, 5 billion to sort out over 100,000 people. And I'm sorry for the kind of leadership that we have in this country.
Are you hoping to meet the finance minister on this?
He's the one that we are looking for.
Oh, so he's the only one you want to meet now?
Yes, because the document that is out there, he has signed to it that he has spent that amount. And in the components includes our remaining balance. And we want him to explain to us how he spent the money and how he's going to manage to pay us.
But the concern too is that, well, sleeping there might not be healthy for the people who are there. How about making use of other avenues you have in the law? There's the right to information law. There are other channels of going to court. Have you tried some of these avenues just to seek answers?
If it is not in Ghana, why should a bailout that has been approved by the Parliament House, money is being raised, why should we go through this legal process? It has been 5 years now. We don't have even money to go through to consult the service of a legal practitioner. We don't have that money. These people, they are going through a lot of unhealthy situations in their homes. Some of them even funding 1 square meal a day is difficult for them. So it's better they come out there to show their frustration to the government and the whole world for them to release the money than to stay in their homes and die.
If there's an appeal, probably to the authorities who are watching us now, what would that collective message be to the authorities that be?
Okay, thank you. I hope some of them or most of them are watching us by now. For the sake of humanity, I'm pleading with them that for the sake of humanity and the lives of these old men and women who need to enjoy a little bit in their pension life, they should release the money. They should release the money. Because it is not good to treat your fellow human beings. You see, they should tell me how many of them will be happy if their salary, monthly salary, will locks up for only 5 months. How would they survive? They should tell us. How would they survive? Confiscating people money for over 5 years. This is a deadly situation. People are dying. And for humanity's sake, they should just do something about it.
Well, Charles, we can only hope for better days. We wait to see if there'll be a response from the Finance Ministry on this. But, of course, we'll keep monitoring your activities at the Finance Ministry and see if there'll be some answers. Thank you for spending some time
with
us. And Charles Nyami is the convener for the aggrieved customers of defunct Gold Coast Fund Management. You're watching The Pulse. When we return, we'll bring you some more stories. Please stay. Police Dr. George Akufo-Dampare, who've described him as being biased. Lawyers for the IGP are resisting any attempt by Parliament's ad hoc committee probing the alleged plot to remove the IGP to invite any external witnesses. The committee continues the in-camera hearing case today, and all witnesses are expected to tender their evidence, including witnesses who are going to testify. But lawyers for the IGP are of the opinion that their testimonies have no relevance to the investigations, while insisting that the committee has completed its work per the terms of reference given by the Speaker of Parliament. Well, my colleague Samuel Mbura was there earlier and brings us the inside story.
The investigation into the alleged plot to remove the IGP has revealed intriguing revelations from the witnesses who have testified during the public hearings. Chief Daniel Bugrinabu, the central figure behind the tape, has shared his motivations and the story behind the recording. Senior police officers, COP Alex Mensah retired, and Superintendent George Asari have also given their testimonies and requested an in-camera hearing to provide further details of their allegations. Even National Security Minister Albert Kandapah was invited and shared findings but declined to submit documents as evidence citing national security concerns.
It's an interim report, but he will not share it with us because if you care to know, it's a national security document, it's not declassified, and in terms of law and the constitution, there's no way we share it with that.
The committee took a substantial break to review and analyze the evidence presented to it. It resumes today for a comprehensive in-camera hearing. However, ahead of the hearing, lead counsel for the IGP, Kwame Jan, expresses dissatisfaction with the committee chairman, Samuel Atachia, and signals strong opposition to inviting external witnesses.
The chairman is operating as if he is a sole commissioner, and we are going to use all necessary legal means at the hearing not to accept this. And I will protect my client's interests to the best of my ability. This is my oath as a lawyer. And we would resist any attempt by the chairman or the committee to bring any extraneous persons to come and testify.
On the other hand, lawyers for Superintendent George Asari challenged the IGP's legal team to resist the invitation of external witnesses if they have nothing to hide.
To say that you are going to resist, it presupposes that maybe you have some skeletons hiding in your cupboard and you think these witnesses are going to expose you.
Meanwhile, the lawyers representing the IGP accusers have written to the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee requesting protection for their witnesses during testimony. Tensions seem to be escalating as the IGP's legal team has vowed to approach the hearing more assertively.
But we are not going to go ahead with kids' gloves in the subsequent proceedings. We will not.
Are you ready for a showdown?
I won't say showdown. This one will be a show up. Showdown has been abused and battered.
Expectations are higher for the in-camera hearing scheduled for 5 consecutive days and expected to conclude on 10th October, and it is anticipated to bring closure to the ongoing investigations. Samuel Mbura, Joy News.
Also, how did activities unfold for day one of the resumption of hearings at the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee sittings? Joining me now in studio is Samuel Mbura, who was there throughout the day, and of course, you got a high five there from the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Akufo.
Exactly. So mostly when he arrives,
excited about that, by the way.
Oh no. Mostly when he arrives, he gets some level of morale from his people, and that's what he was doing. They line up. They salute him, they exchange pleasantries before he moves in. So from day one that he appeared before the committee, that's what his
used to doing.
Former members
do.
So it's not actually a new thing that happened or that has happened today. Okay. It's something that he does with his men whenever he arrives.
Just maybe one day, you never know. He might be on the pulse. I'll give him a handshake.
Exactly, surely he will.
Okay, let's talk about day one now. Lawyers of the IGP taking issue with the chairperson of the committee, Samuel Atachia, and they believe that, well, you've completed your work. The Speaker of Parliament asked you to simply check the veracity of the audio.
Exactly.
That involves Bugrin Abu, Alex Mensah, COP, retired, and Superintendent George Asari. But the committee wants to go beyond that.
Yeah, so those are the claims of the lawyers of the IGP. They are of the firm conviction that your terms of reference is for you to establish the veracity, like you said. You have been able to do that. You've been able to unveil the faces behind the leaked tape. So why don't you go ahead and write your report to Parliament, what you have uncovered so far? So they think that extending it to other witnesses is more or less putting the entire Ghana Police Service to trial.
Yes.
So why don't you limit it there and then get the evidence that they have presented, scrutinize it, and based on that, that will inform your decision going forward in presenting your report and recommendations. And that is why they think that the comments, one of the sittings, I think the last sittings before this in-camera hearing, the chairman of the committee said that it has come to their realization. He used the word that what was presented to the committee was doctored. It was based on that ground that lawyer Kwame Jan said those comments are prejudicial because they have not all had the benefit to listen to a new tape. So how can you conclude that the tape currently before the committee is a doctored one?
In spite of that, the IGP still appeared before the committee today.
Exactly. So all witnesses appeared. The principal witnesses appeared before the committee. We had Bugri Nabu, whom we know is...
Oh, he was there today?
Yeah, Bugri Nabu was there. We had Superintendent George Asari, one of the police officers. COP Alex Mensah was... Interestingly, I didn't know where he passed because I was trekking around the two entrances to the floor that this probe is going on, but I never saw him. But I saw George Asari also coming with his team and the IGP coming. But the IGP took an earlier leave because we understand he had another national assignment to attend to. So it just lasted like some 20 minutes in the committee, and then he was granted leave by the committee to go and attend to the other important issues that he raised before them.
So, for now, we know that day one we're done with the activities, but the lawyers of the IGP are still not happy about some of the happenings. What have they been telling?
Exactly, Blessed. This is actually the day one of the in-camera. I mean, the day two of the in-camera hearing, because we know that the first one was the Minister for National Security, Dapaah, who appeared and testified, but he refused to tender in documents as evidence. Yeah. So day two of the in-camera hearing, they were expecting that the accusers of the IGP will appear with evidence or their witnesses. However, that did not happen. So Mr. Kofi Bento, who speaks for the legal team of Dampare, said that it is an overstretch and they are really disappointed about the whole process so far. Maybe we can just listen to him.
Ben is near short. Some of the senior police officers who are joining the IGP's arrival at the Parliament for the continuous probe into the leak.
This is where some of us have a problem with this whole thing. If you have to bring the head of internal security here to come and listen to his subordinates as to whether they have some evidence concerning his work. In the first place, if you are serving police officer, there is a process to use. It is not this place. So again, our concerns remain. We want to assist Parliament to achieve the goals of this committee, which is to deal with the issues concerning the conspiracy to remove the IGP, which was captured on the tape. And all the pertinent issues regarding that have been dealt with.
For purpose of clarity, is it a fact that the committee chairman blocked the POMAP members from accompanying the IGP?
I won't say he blocked them. This was a hearing in camera. And so if you don't have a reason to be there, you're not supposed to be there. And a very important point has to be made about POMAP. The IGP has not been summoned here in his personal capacity. We will have to keep repeating that. POMAP is the group that manages the Ghana police. Some of the questions being asked properly have to be asked POMAP. And wherever these issues arise, in fact, the answers of the IGP, the responses of the IGP, the conduct of the IGP reflect on POMAP. He does not work alone. So POMAP came here because this is about them also. And so they entered the room. Indeed, it is our argument that POMAP should have remained in the room. And even if the IGP had to leave, he could have left certain members of POMAP there to answer certain questions. But when we went in, the chairman said, well, it is supposed to be in camera, and therefore not everybody ought to be there. Again, out of abundance of respect for the Speaker of Parliament, for Parliament, and the committee and the chairman, POMAP members agreed and excused themselves.
Do you think that was a fair decision by the committee chairman?
It is my view that it was a compromise. But it is also my view that we should not limit state institutions to individuals. And I repeat, the IGP is not here in his personal capacity. He's here as head of police. And the proper group that manages the police is POMAP. So they were properly here and they could have properly been in the room. Indeed, there will be answers that maybe the IGP will not have immediately. Like I keep saying, there are 50,000 people in the police service. There are regional commanders, district commanders. Some of the things that are being leveled against him happen in some region and they are the subject of other inquiries. So clearly he will not have all the answers, and that's why he needs POMAP. But yes, when the chairman requested it again, out of abundance of respect for the chairman, they excused themselves.
Will you allow your client to appear before the committee tomorrow?
Again, I will take instructions from my client. My client's instructions are that he wants to absolutely cooperate with the committee. And to the furthest extent, he wants to be here. I have to say that it is not always even in the interest of, I think, the nation that he leaves his duties to be here. For instance, tomorrow, the chairman says we should be here tomorrow to come and see if there is new evidence And the question was asked, so we should get off what we are doing, come and sit here. What if there's no new evidence? We'll come, sit here, they say, oh, there's no new evidence, then we all go home. We don't think that is proper use of executive time of the IGP.
Okay, Kofi Bentil there, explaining why they have issues with the chairperson of the committee. We'll hear from the chairperson of the committee shortly, but there's this incident he keeps referring to about the police management board also being part of the in-camera hearings, because the chairperson of the committee did not allow that to happen. Explain to us.
So it is not only the board members of, the police that were not allowed.
Right.
Now, today's meeting was with witnesses involved. So you, the witness, and your lawyers appearing
together
for the committee. So it is an in-camera one. So the chairman was of the view that since the POMAP, the accusations are not against POMAP members, not against the Ghana Police Service specifically, but Dr. Akufo Dapaah, he alone is supposed to appear before the committee. A reason he asked that they wait for him outside, they'll deal with him, and then come back. But the lawyer there wasn't happy. He felt that it was a compromise. He felt it wasn't fair.
And why do they keep, going back to that same point, having issues with the chairperson of the committee?
Well, we don't know the established reason yet, but they think that the chairman, as I said earlier, has a hidden agenda against their client, but we don't know exactly what this hidden agenda is.
This is supposed to be the Honorable Samuel Atacha.
Exactly. So he has also been responding to that. He described it as baseless, and he says it is not someone who is outside the committee that will teach them their work. We can listen to him addressing the press after the sitting today.
You send them away, and they use this as a crown to base the argument that you have been.
No, the committee felt that because we said we are doing the matters in camera, you understand, it will not be fair for non-witnesses to be present. That was the thinking of the committee. What is the meaning of the in camera? We would have brought you there because you are also not going to testify. You are just, members of the, press. So what is it? Discrimination here. The members of the press are not being admitted into a small chamber here. Why should we admit senior police officers who are not going to speak to come in there? So these are some of the, excuse me to say, incongruous, and some absurd positions people can, say and get away with it.
Yeah. Chairman, let's talk about witnesses. One, I expect that Asari to be.
The committee will make a determination as to whether the intended witnesses and what they want to say bear relevance to our remit. If not, then we are on a wild goose chase, but that's not our remit. If we are not careful to, some people who want to settle personal scores with the RGP will use this platform to do so. And we are wiser than that. We are not going to, be so elastic in our orientation that the whole of our time we spent on, if you like, non-essentials.
The perception out there finally from me is that your committee is digressing. You are digressing from the details of, in terms of reference of the
Well, I think the one who is the greatest thinker of the world will say so. And he is very, very intelligent to say that all of us are wayward, and is the most intelligent person to show us how we should work. I know where it's coming from. It's an absurdity, and that person should refrain from dictating to this committee. Yes, no matter how exalted he thinks, Yes, I've never seen anybody who is in the football match trying to determine the rules of the game.
Samuel Atacha is not taking any more of that.
Exactly.
He's not happy.
Yeah. So that's the explanation he gave. That's with the POMAP, and then they...
Okay, so it does suggest that something else will happen tomorrow.
Exactly. So tomorrow the probe continues. As you heard the lawyer for the IGP, Kofi Bentil, the committee chairman has asked that they should come tomorrow, all of them, to respond to any possible evidence that will be brought by the witnesses. So we are not certain as to what will happen tomorrow, but all witnesses are supposed to appear before the committee.
My colleague Samuel Mbura getting us the latest on this parliamentary ad hoc committee sittings. Will definitely update you and give you the latest tomorrow. We cross you over now to Liberia because the West African country is having their very first elections after the UN withdrew its stabilization force in the country owing to a prolonged or a protracted conflict in the country. Will Liberia pass the test after today's elections? Let's get more on how the exercise has fared so far, with polling almost closing. Nana Aljuma is with the foreign desk here at Joy News and is joining us live from Monrovia. Nana, what can you report? And first of all, what's your assessment of, election day?
So going through the various polling stations in Monrovia, I can report that the situation has been largely calm. From the polling stations that we've reported, the only negative or the only not so good news that we can report is that most of these polling stations are overcrowded. So it's making it very difficult for people to cast their ballots. But per the electoral regulations, if you are within the queue before 6 p.m., you are eligible to vote. So these issues, depending on how long these people can wait, they will be able to cast their ballots. More than 2.4 million people are expected to today cast their ballots in Liberia. As you are already aware of, 20 candidates are racing to become the president of Liberia for the next 6 years. Already a lot of electoral observation missions are in Liberia. We're talking of the ECOWAS, the UN, the AU, USAID has its own observation mission also in Liberia, and a number of them all going around the various electoral or the polling stations to ensure that there's fair and credible elections here in Liberia. Already we are learning that in some counties, including the Sino County, the elections is yet to start. Even though we are 2 hours to the closing or the closure of polls, election in these counties or in this county is yet to start. The reason we are getting is that the election materials got drowned this morning as it was being transported to these areas. It got drowned in a creek within the Sino district or the Sino county. So we tried getting some information from the National Electoral Commission, and what they are telling us is that they understand that there are challenges and they are working around the clock to resolve these challenges and make sure that these people get to vote. But up until we came on air, there hadn't been any new development within this area. And also in an area called Grisgy Farm, also within the Sino County, the materials for 2 of the polling stations got wet this morning after the truck transporting these materials got stuck in a muddy area. And as you know, Liberia is still within the rainy season, so often we get rains, or Liberia gets rains. So these materials got drenched by the rain this morning. So it's unclear if this area will also get to vote. But what I can report is that across Liberia, in these various areas where the election is taking place, we are yet to get information about any violence within these areas.
I see, Nanael. But let's talk about your interaction earlier with the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, which says that it is deeply concerned about the democratic gains made in Liberia. It will want to consolidate that in this year's polls. Why is ECOWAS concerned about a peaceful election in Liberia, and why should it matter to those within the West Africa sub-region?
We are all aware of what is happening in the West African states. That is the overthrow of democratically elected governments. So for this reason, ECOWAS believe that it's about time that they use this election as a test case to prove that democracy is the only way out of the situation that we have here in Africa, especially West Africa, to be precise. So they want Liberia to also send a strong signal to other West African countries that democracy is the option. Now, this is the 4th time that Liberia is having election after the civil war, and the people of Liberia gradually are getting to understand democracy and are getting to show or participate actively in democracy. So they would want this message to also sink in the people of Liberia. That is why they are devoting a lot of logistics and also human resource to ensure that this polls remains credible and also it's violent free. So ECOWAS remains on the grounds. This morning, ECOWAS have been to some of the polling stations and also some situation rooms within Monrovia that's set up by other observation missions. For instance, we have the Fly group, which is made up of young people in Liberia. They have their own situation room. This morning, ECOWAS was there. And they also went to others that are dotted within the city of Monrovia. And they've been picking information from all of these observation missions within Liberia. So ECOWAS also has its own observation mission, and I understand that in very few minutes ECOWAS will be briefing the media on what they've been able to gather in these counties as well. So ECOWAS is demonstrating a lot of interest in this particular election here in Liberia.
Indeed, Nana Yaojima, keep monitoring that for us. We're also delighted to be hearing of how peaceful the exercise has been so far. Nana Yaojima reporting from Monrovia. We'll get you updates here on your election headquarters. And you're watching the polls here on the Joy News channel. More on the Liberian elections on Connect Africa later on this channel at 6 p.m. Exactly. You want to be on the Joy News channel. We'll bring you a 360-degree coverage of all the actions that are happening right now in Liberia. And we've got more coming your way in a jiffy. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. This is The Pulse. Well, she's just 21 years old, and Melsa Efia Anotewa has chosen to work instead of furthering her education for now, so she can help her younger siblings get educated. This selfless act has seen her venture into a male-dominated workspace, which is not only challenging her to keep being better, but also inspired to help others. She shares her story of hope with Joy News.
She's had to put on hold pursuing her education. The aspiring journalist Melsa Efia Anotewa is now hungry to make money because she has siblings to take care of.
I wanted to become a journalist.
A journalist?
Yes, please.
And so do you still have that ambition, or you've just packed it somewhere?
I still have it, but I packed it because there was no financial support. I lost my dad when I completed SHS. There was no financial support, so I had to stop work and support my mom to take care of my other siblings. And me being the eldest, I think it is a duty for me to help and support the family whenever and however I can.
Right after completing senior high school, she ventured into finding jobs, and she's done quite a lot.
I want to work hard, get money, because I don't want to be dependent on anybody or become a burden or a liability for anybody. So I want to work hard, make ends meet for myself, and also get something to support the family.
Her hard work in customer service earned her a spot from one good company to another. This time, Go-Go Wash.
I didn't know much about the car detailing and how everything about the car is. But when I got into the company and I saw how everything is, I really like the job. And I'm not considering on going to school now. I want to learn more and become perfect before I go to school. Even if I won't go back to the company, I can do something on my own.
Melsa, trained by her employer to fill a new role of an administrative executive and how to effectively wash vehicles, is now a trainer of other employees.
When it comes to work, we do our work. After work, then we talk. But when it comes to work, it's seriousness. Because we give the customers time, sometimes 45 minutes. So I don't want a situation whereby maybe an hour or an hour and 30 minutes, then the customer will come and we are still on the work.
Melsa shares her daily routine.
All I know is that the car wash, you go there, they wash your car, but I didn't know they do this vacuum and everything. But when I joined and I saw how everything is like, we do the vacuum with steam engine and everything, and I've learned everything, and so far I like the job.
Considering the notion that car washing is associated to males, Melsa said she's actually surprised to be receiving only commendations.
When I started, it got to a time when I go to some of the customers and we are doing the wash, the car wash for them. They will be like, why are you the only girl with guys, and why are you doing this kind of work? I don't feel bad, I don't feel embarrassed, but I am happy because it's like you are exceptional, and you are the only girl working with guys. So I even encourage some of the girls to come and do it, but whenever they come and they just leave. Why? I don't know. They feel it is a very hard working, a very difficult job.
What an inspiring story there of a 21-year-old girl. But there's a bigger conference happening here in Accra, which is being organized by the Power to Girls Foundation. As the Power of Girls conference being organized here in Accra, and it's part of a broader push to encourage the likes of the 21-year-old Elsa that we saw in that report, and others who are aspiring to do more. Joining us in studio now is Abba Datsun, who's with the Power to Girls Foundation. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure to know that you're pushing young girls and encouraging them to do more. But let's talk about the event which is happening here in Accra. What's the Power of
a Girl
Conference?
Yes.
Why the conference, and what are you seeking to achieve?
Thank you so much for having me. So this is going to be our second annual Power of a Girl Conference. Like you said, I'm from Power to Girls Foundation. We run programming for young girls. We do programming on mentorship, mental health and wellness, entrepreneurship, leadership and STEM basis. And essentially the conference is to celebrate girls. Tomorrow is International Day of a Girl Child. And so we organize this annually on the day of International Day of a Girl Child to celebrate girls, to show them, to give them access to resources. What we do is we bring women from diverse backgrounds. So like we have a panel tomorrow, it's the Women in STEM, where we have Shikanik who's coming. We have Dr. Sophia, we have Mass DJ. So we're really just showing young girls that, look, you can do whatever you set your mind to. You're able to do anything you want. Nothing is limiting you. And over here at Power to Girls, we like to believe that we're able to do anything. So that's essentially what the conference is about. It's happening tomorrow at the Osu Presbyterian Hall from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. As well as, I don't know, did I answer all of your questions?
Who's expected to be there?
Okay, who's expected to be there? Everybody. So we have girls coming from junior high school and senior high school. We're expecting 1,200 girls to empower them. We have Aisha Ado, who's the founder, who's going to do a power talk. Now Shoko is coming in to talk to the girls as well. We also have different workshops that the girls are able to go through. So workshops from like self-defense all the way to coding, all the way to introduction to tech, all the way to like dance with purpose, doing a workshop on dancing. It's like a packed day.
So there's a whole lot.
Yes, a whole lot.
What message are you leaving with young girls as we wrap up?
First of all, make it tomorrow. We can't wait to have you guys. And secondly, like I said, you can do anything you put your mind to. Do not ever think that anything is limiting you. Even if you're in the tiniest town, in the tiniest place in Accra, you can still become anything you want.
Yeah, and indeed, the girls need to go out and shine.
Yes,
thank you.
And we're giving them the power.
Indeed. Abba Datsun joining us from the Power to Girls Foundation, and you need to be there tomorrow. That's all we have for you in this package of The Pulse. I'm Blessed Suga. Next is Let's Talk Showbiz. You can log on to myjoyline.com. We have updates there for you. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.